The floor is vast and continuous, with slight rises, dips, planes, and ridges forming a gentle mosaic. Movement is minimal, changes occur slowly, and the overall stillness remains intact. Even life itself moves in measured ways. Organisms drift, feed, and burrow quietly, leaving only faint traces that gradually fade. The sediment restores the surface to smoothness, preserving the calm and continuity of the environment. Time seems different here. Processes unfold slowly, almost imperceptibly. Sediment accumulates, currents flow, and life continues, all at a pace that preserves tranquility. Each layer blends with the next, forming an even, soft covering. Small depressions and ridges fade under new sediment, leaving the surface unbroken. Variations like hydrothermal vents or mineral formations are subtle, contributing texture without disrupting calm. The rhythms of the ocean floor, sedimentation, water flow, life activity, and geological shifts, continue gently and consistently. Nothing occurs abruptly. The surface evolves gradually, maintaining stability and quiet. Even across the vast stretches of deep ocean, the environment remains uniform and predictable. Temperature, pressure, and darkness remain constant, allowing life and sediment to coexist in steady, harmonious rhythms. Movement is measured, energy conserved, and changes are minimal. Sediment settles continuously, organisms drift slowly, and subtle features form and fade over millennia. The ocean floor persists as a vast, calm, and continuous system, where every process unfolds slowly, quietly, and deliberately. Life, sediment, water, and geological forces all operate in unhurried, gentle rhythms. Temperature, pressure, darkness, and water movement combine to create an ecosystem of quiet balance. Life and sediment coexist within these conditions, each element moving in slow, deliberate patterns. The ocean floor extends endlessly, with subtle rises and dips, plains and ridges, forming a gentle mosaic that is both vast and consistent. Movement is minimal and changes occur only gradually, preserving the overall stillness. Even in the presence of life, the environment remains serene. Organisms move slowly, feeding or drifting in harmony with their surroundings. Faint trails and minor disturbances fade quickly under new sediment, maintaining continuity. The rhythm of the ocean floor is slow, steady, and constant. Particles fall gently, currents move evenly, and life persists in measured motions. The surface evolves gradually, yet remains calm and unbroken. Sediment layers blend seamlessly, creating a continuous, soft covering. Minor depressions and ridges smooth over time, returning the floor to evenness. Each change is quiet, maintaining the overall sense of stability. Hydrothermal vents and mineral deposits contribute small variations, but these are subtle and slow, enhancing the texture of the ocean floor without disrupting its calm. All processes on the ocean floor, sedimentation, currents, life activity, geological shifts, occur in gentle, gradual rhythms. Nothing happens abruptly, and nothing disturbs the pervasive stillness. The ocean floor maintains a timeless stillness, with each grain of sediment settling gently, layer by layer, adding to the soft surface below. These layers form gradually, blending seamlessly, creating a calm and continuous landscape. Tiny organisms move quietly, leaving faint trails that fade over time as new sediment accumulates above them. Their motions are deliberate and measured, conserving energy and harmonizing with the steady pace of the environment. Water currents flow above at a slow, consistent rate. They carry nutrients and particles over long distances without turbulence, ensuring the distribution of materials remains even and gentle. The movement supports life quietly, without altering the overall calm. Temperature remains consistently low throughout the depths. The cold is steady and unchanging, creating a stable environment in which sediment and organisms can remain undisturbed for long durations. The darkness of the deep sea reinforces this continuity, providing a uniform, shadowed background. Some creatures emit faint bioluminescent glows. These small points of light drift slowly through the darkness, appearing and fading gradually. The illumination is soft and unobtrusive, blending seamlessly into the calm surroundings. Hydrothermal vents release warm water steadily into the cold ocean depths. The flow is constant and gentle, forming subtle gradients that influence the surrounding sediment and support small clusters of organisms. Life here moves deliberately, in quiet, controlled motions, synchronized with the slow pace of the environment. Mineral deposits accumulate slowly across the ocean floor. Over thousands or millions of years, these formations grow in delicate layers. Each layer adds texture, creating structures that endure without disruption, complementing the steady and tranquil nature of the deep sea. Geological forces beneath the ocean floor continue to shape ridges, trenches, and valleys at imperceptible speeds. Tectonic plates move centimeters per year, allowing the floor to adjust gradually. These slow processes maintain long-term stability while avoiding sudden shifts or disturbances. Even the aftermath of volcanic activity settles into calm over extended periods. Lava cools and hardens, forming new structures that integrate gently into the surrounding environment. Organisms adapt to these slow changes, moving carefully and conserving energy. Organic material drifts down from the ocean surface, settling softly on the floor. These deposits feed small ecosystems in quiet, measured cycles. Creatures consume, burrow, or drift slowly, maintaining balance without disturbing the overall serenity. Channels and depressions guide the gentle movement of water along the sediment. The flow within them is steady, smooth, and minimal. Over time, these features retain their shape, subtly influencing patterns of life while supporting the calm environment. Soft hills, gentle slopes, and expansive plains stretch across the ocean floor, formed over millennia. These features are subtle, lacking sharp edges or sudden transitions. Sediment accumulates evenly, reinforcing their steady shapes. Pressure is constant at these depths, pressing evenly in all directions. This steady force supports the structure of the ocean floor, ensuring that minor disturbances are absorbed gradually. The combination of pressure, temperature, darkness, and slow water movement maintains a balanced ecosystem. The ocean floor remains a place of endless calm, where life exists within slow and deliberate patterns. Each element contributes to the stability of the whole, creating a steady and unbroken environment. Movement is always minimal, energy is conserved, and changes occur at a pace that allows the overall system to remain balanced. The rhythms of the deep-sea ecosystem continue uninterrupted. Each particle, organism, and formation functions within the slow cadence of the ocean floor, supporting the gentle continuity of the environment. The ocean floor extends across vast regions, maintaining a quiet uniformity that is rarely disturbed. Fine sediments continue to settle gently, layering one upon another, creating soft textures that smooth over the uneven features beneath. Small depressions and faint ridges form naturally over long periods. These patterns are subtle and fade gradually, leaving the surface calm and even. Nothing moves abruptly, and no sudden forces disrupt the stillness. Water currents flow overhead slowly, guided by differences in density and temperature. These currents move particles and nutrients steadily, without turbulence or rush. Their constant motion supports the ecosystem, yet it does so without breaking the calm rhythm of the deep. The temperature in the deep ocean remains remarkably stable. It is cold, steady, and unchanging, providing a consistent environment for all life and sediment on the ocean floor. The absence of sunlight reinforces this constancy, keeping the deep sea in a state of continuous, gentle darkness. Occasionally, bioluminescent organisms create small points of soft light. These glows drift slowly, illuminating tiny areas without disturbing the pervasive stillness. The light appears as a subtle shimmer, fading gradually and blending seamlessly with the surrounding darkness. The ocean floor also contains areas of mineral deposits. Over long periods, these deposits accumulate slowly, forming small structures. Each layer builds gradually, creating textures that remain consistent and undisturbed for thousands or millions of years. Hydrothermal vents release warm water into the cold depths. This flow is steady and continuous, forming gentle gradients of temperature that slightly influence nearby sediment and life. Organisms around these vents exist within this slow, stable environment, adapting their movements to match the quiet pace. Life on the ocean floor moves deliberately. Some organisms drift with the slow currents, others burrow partially into the sediment. Most conserve energy, moving only when necessary, leaving subtle trails that gradually fade as new layers of particles settle above them. Sediment continues to accumulate steadily. Tiny particles drift from above, coming to rest silently, layer upon layer. These soft deposits build a continuous, even surface that smooths over imperfections in the underlying ground. The deeper layers of the ocean floor remain largely unchanged. These foundations provide stability to the surface above, holding the structure over long spans of time. Minor disturbances are absorbed gradually, ensuring the overall calm remains uninterrupted. Geological forces act beneath the ocean floor, shaping ridges, trenches, and valleys slowly over millions of years. Plate movements are imperceptible in daily observation, occurring at rates of mere centimeters per year. The resulting changes are quiet, gradual, and continuous, without sudden shifts. Even areas shaped by volcanic activity settle into equilibrium. Lava flows cool, mineral deposits harden, and the floor forms steady features that remain intact for long periods. Life in these regions adapts to the slow pace, existing in measured, deliberate movements. Organic material drifts from the upper layers of the ocean, settling onto the floor over extended periods. This material nourishes small ecosystems, which continue in quiet, consistent cycles. Feeding, burrowing, and drifting occur slowly, maintaining balance and supporting the broader environment without creating turbulence. Tiny channels and depressions guide water movement across the floor. The flow is smooth, minimal, and consistent, carrying nutrients without disturbing the sediment or the creatures that inhabit it. Over time, these channels maintain their shapes, subtly influencing patterns of life. The ocean floor is dotted with soft hills and gentle slopes, formed over millennia. These inclines rise gradually, lacking sharp edges or abrupt changes, contributing to the continuous, calm landscape. Sediment settles over these features evenly, reinforcing their gentle shapes. Pressure at the depths is constant, pressing evenly across all surfaces. This steady force supports the floor's structure and ensures that even small disturbances are absorbed gradually. The result is a uniform, stable environment. The water above flows in gentle currents that travel at a slow and predictable pace. These currents move particles and nutrients steadily, without sudden surges or turbulence. The movement is constant but calm, supporting the quiet nature of the ocean floor. Temperature remains low and remarkably consistent, seldom shifting by more than a few degrees. This steady cold contributes to the stable environment, allowing creatures and sediment to remain undisturbed over long periods. The absence of sunlight in the deep areas creates a continuous darkness that does not vary. This uniform shadow provides a consistent background, allowing all forms of life to adapt to a slow and gentle rhythm. Some organisms emit faint bioluminescence, producing small points of soft light that move gradually through the water. These glows are never harsh. They fade and drift slowly, adding subtle illumination without disturbing the overall stillness. In other areas, fine ridges and small mounds form where slow currents shape the sediment. These features remain for long periods, maintaining gentle patterns until new layers of material gradually cover them. The deeper layers of the ocean floor remain undisturbed over vast stretches of time. These layers act as a foundation, providing stability for everything above. Their forms are seamless and continuous, contributing to the sense of calm. Even in places where small fissures or cracks occur, the change is slow and controlled. Water may seep gently through these openings, moving at a measured pace that does not disturb the surrounding sediment. Some areas contain tiny formations of mineral deposits that grow quietly over thousands or millions of years. Their slow accumulation adds texture to the floor without disrupting the calm environment. Organisms adapt to the steady conditions, conserving energy and moving only when necessary. Many drift slowly above the sediment, while others remain partially buried, leaving faint marks that gradually fade. The balance between these processes remains constant. Sediment accumulates, water flows, and life persists, all moving in unhurried rhythms that support the overall stability. The ocean floor experiences very slow geological shifts beneath the surface. Tectonic plates move at a rate of mere centimeters per year, gradually forming ridges, valleys, and trenches over millions of years. These changes are imperceptible in the short term but continue quietly without sudden disruptions. Hydrothermal vents release warm water steadily, creating gentle gradients that slowly affect the surrounding environment. Life around these vents adapts to the slow and continuous flow of heat and nutrients. Even in regions where volcanic activity has shaped the floor, the resulting formations settle into a calm equilibrium over long periods. The surfaces remain stable and unchanging, contributing to the overall stillness. The accumulation of organic material continues quietly. Tiny fragments of plants, plankton, and microscopic life drift downward, slowly forming soft deposits that nourish deep-sea ecosystems. Each organism that uses this material moves at its own gentle pace, feeding in small amounts over long periods. There is no rush, no need for rapid activity, only the consistent rhythm of survival. The slow flow of water through small channels carries nutrients and particles across vast distances. This movement is unhurried, smooth, and continuous, allowing the ecosystem to function steadily. Even in regions where the sediment is compacted, the surface retains its stability. Minor disturbances are absorbed gradually, and the environment quickly returns to calm. The pressure at the ocean floor is constant, pressing evenly in all directions. This steady force helps maintain the structure of the sediment and supports the organisms that inhabit it. The combination of pressure, temperature, darkness, and gentle currents creates a highly stable environment. All elements exist in quiet balance, contributing to the continuous calm. The ocean floor extends endlessly, with subtle variations that appear over vast distances. Gentle rises, dips, ridges, and plains form a textured but still and peaceful landscape. Life interacts with the environment slowly and deliberately. Small movements, feeding patterns, and minor shifts all occur without haste, maintaining the quiet rhythm of the deep. The deep-sea environment continues to function with minimal change, a continuous system in which processes unfold gradually. Nothing disrupts the calm, and nothing occurs abruptly. Time in the deep ocean feels slow, almost imperceptible. Sediment accumulates, currents flow, and organisms move, all in steady, measured rhythms that continue indefinitely. Even when new layers of sediment settle, the effect is gentle. Shapes soften, impressions fade, and the floor maintains its even and quiet state. These lights move gently, never bright enough to disturb the calm, and they fade slowly as they pass. The ocean floor absorbs all movement in a gradual way, allowing everything to settle back into stillness. Some organisms move slowly across the surface, leaving behind faint traces that are eventually covered by new layers of sediment. Others remain still, blending into their surroundings and conserving energy. These patterns repeat, creating a steady rhythm that continues without interruption. In certain places, the ocean floor forms wide, flat plains that stretch out in all directions. These plains are smooth and even, with very little variation, creating a sense of openness. The absence of features allows the environment to feel calm and continuous. In other areas, gentle rises and dips create subtle variations in the landscape. These changes are gradual, with no sharp edges or sudden drops. They add a soft texture to the ocean floor while maintaining its overall stillness. The deeper layers beneath the surface remain undisturbed, holding their form over long periods. These layers provide a stable foundation, supporting everything above. The connection between layers is seamless, with no visible boundaries. Everything exists as part of a continuous structure. The ocean floor also includes regions where small amounts of water move through the sediment. This movement is slow and controlled, creating a gentle exchange that does not disturb the surface. The flow remains constant, maintaining the balance of the environment. In some areas, minerals slowly accumulate, forming small structures over long periods. These formations grow quietly, layer by layer, without sudden change. Their presence adds to the diversity of the ocean floor while preserving its calm nature. The pressure remains steady, pressing evenly across all surfaces. This constant pressure supports the stability of the environment, preventing sudden movement. Even in areas where slight shifts occur, they happen slowly and without force. The ocean floor adjusts gradually, maintaining its steady state. The slow accumulation of sediment continues, adding new layers that blend into the existing ones. There is no clear separation, only a continuous transition from one layer to the next. This creates a structure that feels complete and unbroken. In certain regions, the ocean floor contains small channels formed by the gentle flow of water. These channels remain stable once formed, guiding the slow movement of currents along the surface. The flow within them is smooth and even, without turbulence. They add subtle variation to the landscape while preserving its calm. The ocean floor also contains areas where organic material gathers, forming soft deposits. These deposits support small forms of life that exist quietly within the sediment. The activity within these areas is slow and steady, contributing to the overall balance. There is no excess movement, only a gentle continuation of life. The deeper regions remain the most stable, with very little variation in any condition. Temperature, pressure, and darkness stay the same, creating a uniform environment. This uniformity allows everything to exist in a calm and predictable state. There is no urgency, no need for change. The ocean floor continues to exist in this quiet way, with each process unfolding slowly and evenly. Nothing rushes, nothing demands attention. Everything follows a gentle rhythm that remains constant. As time passes, the ocean floor remains a place of stillness, where change is gradual and movement is minimal. The steady pattern continues, creating an environment that feels endless. Nothing interrupts this calm, and nothing disturbs the balance. Each element remains in place, contributing to the overall stability. The ocean floor holds its form, unchanged in its quiet nature, allowing everything within it to move at a slow and even pace. The rhythm continues, soft and unbroken, extending without end. The ocean floor stretches far beyond what can be seen, a continuous expanse of soft sediment and subtle formations, all remaining steady and calm. Over time, tiny particles drift from above, settling slowly and quietly onto the surface. Each one follows a gentle path, guided by the calm water, and comes to rest without creating any sound or disturbance. These particles accumulate continuously, layer upon layer, forming a soft covering that smooths over the small variations of the ground below. The effect is subtle, almost imperceptible, yet over long durations it creates a steady and even surface. In some areas, small depressions form where creatures rest or burrow gently into the sediment. These depressions remain undisturbed until they are slowly covered by the next falling particles, blending seamlessly into the surrounding environment. There are no sharp contrasts, only gentle transitions that blend together. The darkness remains constant, without any shift in brightness, creating a uniform background that does not change. Within this darkness, occasional soft glows appear as small organisms produce light. These glows move slowly, fading in and out without drawing attention. They do not disrupt the stillness, but instead become part of it. The ocean floor also contains areas where the sediment forms slight ridges, shaped over time by slow-moving water. These ridges remain until they are gradually leveled by new layers settling above them. The process continues endlessly, with no clear beginning or end. The deeper layers beneath the surface remain undisturbed, holding their form over long periods. These layers provide stability, supporting everything above without change. The connection between layers is seamless, with no boundaries that can be clearly seen. Everything exists as part of a continuous structure. In some places, the ocean floor appears almost perfectly flat, extending in all directions without interruption. This flatness creates a sense of openness and calm, where nothing stands out. There is no movement across these areas except for the slow settling of particles. The absence of disturbance allows the environment to remain unchanged. The water pressure continues to press evenly across all surfaces, creating a stable condition that does not fluctuate. This pressure supports the calm state of the ocean floor, preventing sudden shifts. Even in areas where small changes occur, they happen slowly and without force. The ocean floor adapts gradually, maintaining its steady balance. The slow accumulation of material continues, adding new layers that blend into the old. There is no separation between them, only a continuous transition. This creates a structure that feels complete and unbroken. In certain regions, small channels guide the gentle movement of water along the surface. These channels form over long periods and remain stable once established. The flow within them is slow and consistent, without turbulence. They add subtle variation to the landscape while preserving its calm nature. The ocean floor also contains areas where organic material gathers, forming soft deposits that support quiet forms of life. These deposits remain stable with no rapid changes. The organisms within them interact in slow and steady ways, contributing to the overall balance. There is no excess activity, only what is needed. The deeper regions of the ocean floor remain the most consistent, with very little variation in any condition. Temperature, pressure, and darkness stay the same, creating a uniform environment. This uniformity allows everything to exist in a calm and predictable state. There is no need for change, only continuation. The ocean floor continues to exist in this quiet way, with each process unfolding slowly and evenly. There is no urgency, no sudden movement. Everything follows the same gentle rhythm. As time passes, the ocean floor remains a place of stillness, where change is gradual and movement is minimal. The steady pattern continues, creating an environment that feels endless. Nothing interrupts this calm, and nothing disturbs the balance. Each element remains in place, contributing to the overall stability. The ocean floor holds its form, unchanged in its quiet nature, allowing everything within it to move at a slow and even pace. The rhythm continues, soft and unbroken, extending without end. The ocean floor continues in its quiet stillness, holding each layer of sediment in place as more particles settle gently from above. These particles move slowly through the water, guided by calm currents, and come to rest without sound, adding to the soft surface below. Each addition is small and gradual, blending into what is already there, creating a continuous and even landscape. The surface remains undisturbed for long periods, with only the slightest changes taking place over time. In some areas, faint lines can be seen where slow currents have shaped the sediment into gentle patterns. These patterns remain until they are softened and smoothed by the steady fall of new material. The process is quiet and constant, with no clear beginning or end. The water above moves at a slow and steady pace, carrying tiny particles across great distances. This movement is smooth and even, without sudden shifts or turbulence. It supports the calm nature of the ocean floor, maintaining a stable environment. The temperature remains low and consistent, creating a steady condition that does not change. This stability allows the ocean floor to remain balanced, with no sudden variations. The darkness also remains unchanged, forming a uniform background that does not shift over time. Within this darkness, small points of light may appear as certain organisms produce a soft glow. These changes are gradual, without sharp edges or sudden drops. They add a soft texture to the environment without disturbing its overall stillness. The ocean floor also includes regions where older formations remain visible, preserved by the stable conditions. These formations show the slow passage of time, holding their shape without alteration. They serve as quiet reminders of the processes that have shaped the environment over long durations. The water pressure remains constant, pressing evenly across all surfaces, creating a uniform condition that does not fluctuate. This pressure supports the stability of the ocean floor, preventing sudden shifts or disruptions. The entire system operates within a narrow range of conditions, maintaining a calm balance. Even in areas where small movements occur, the changes are slow and controlled. The ocean floor absorbs these changes without disturbance, returning quickly to its steady state. The environment remains predictable, with no unexpected events. The slow accumulation of sediment continues, adding new layers that blend seamlessly with the old. There is no clear boundary between them, only a gradual transition from one layer to the next. This blending creates a continuous structure that feels complete and unbroken. In some regions, the ocean floor includes small channels where water flows gently along the surface. These channels are formed over long periods, shaped by the steady movement of currents. The flow within them remains slow and even, without turbulence. They add subtle variation to the landscape while maintaining its calm nature. The ocean floor also contains areas where organic material has accumulated, forming soft deposits that support small forms of life. These deposits remain stable, with no rapid changes in composition. The organisms within them interact quietly, contributing to the overall balance. There is no excess movement, only steady activity that aligns with the environment. The deeper layers beneath the surface remain undisturbed, holding their form over long periods. These layers provide a foundation that supports the surface above. The connection between layers is seamless, with no abrupt transitions. Everything remains in place, supported by the consistent conditions. The ocean floor continues to exist as a stable system, where each process unfolds slowly and evenly. There is no need for rapid change or sudden movement. The environment supports a steady rhythm that remains constant. The calm nature of the ocean floor allows for long periods of quiet continuity. Nothing interrupts this flow, and nothing disturbs the balance. Each element contributes to the overall stability, maintaining a peaceful and predictable setting. As time passes, the ocean floor remains unchanged in its calm state. The processes that shape it continue without pause, yet they do so in a way that preserves the stillness. There is no urgency, no pressure for change. Everything unfolds at its own pace, guided by gentle forces. The ocean floor remains a place of quiet consistency, where movement is minimal and change is gradual. The steady rhythm continues, creating an environment that feels endless and calm. The ocean floor remains still, with its surface holding the quiet patterns formed over long periods of time, unchanged in its gentle structure. Fine grains continue to settle, one by one, moving slowly downward until they come to rest without sound, adding to the soft layers below. Each layer forms without interruption, blending into the next, creating a surface that feels continuous and complete. The water above maintains its slow and steady motion, carrying small particles across wide distances without creating disturbance. This movement is smooth and even, never rushing, never pausing, always continuing at the same calm pace. The temperature remains low and stable, without sudden shifts, allowing the environment to stay balanced. In this steady cold, life continues in simple and quiet ways, without excess movement. Some organisms remain partially buried in the sediment, moving only slightly when needed, leaving faint traces that slowly disappear. Others drift just above the surface, carried by gentle currents that guide them without effort. These patterns of movement repeat across the ocean floor, creating a rhythm that remains unchanged. In areas where the ground is slightly firmer, the surface holds its shape for longer periods, resisting small disturbances. Even so, the slow fall of particles eventually smooths everything, returning the surface to its even state. The ocean floor absorbs all changes gradually, never allowing anything sudden or abrupt. This gradual adjustment maintains the calm nature of the environment. In some regions, subtle variations in color appear due to differences in sediment, though these differences remain soft and muted. There is no excess, only what is needed for survival. The energy within these systems moves steadily, without peaks or drops. This consistency supports the overall calm of the deep ocean. The ocean floor is also influenced by very slow geological forces that operate beneath the surface. These forces shape the structure of the Earth over long periods, creating the features that define the ocean basins. The movement is gradual, without sudden events in most cases. This slow shaping contributes to the stability of the environment. The deeper layers of the ocean floor remain largely unchanged, holding their form over millions of years. These layers act as a foundation, supporting the surface above. The connection between layers is steady, with no abrupt transitions. The entire structure remains balanced, allowing processes to continue without disruption. In some regions, the ocean floor appears almost featureless, extending in all directions with a uniform surface. This uniformity creates a sense of endless space, where nothing stands out and everything remains consistent. The absence of variation adds to the calm, making it easy to imagine a place without change. The ocean floor continues to exist in this quiet state, with each process unfolding slowly and evenly. There is no need for speed or intensity. Everything moves at its own gentle pace, guided by steady forces. The calm nature of the environment allows for a continuous flow of small changes that do not disturb the overall balance. Each element contributes to the whole, maintaining a stable and predictable system. As time passes, the ocean floor remains a place of stillness, where movement is minimal and change is gradual. The slow rhythm continues without interruption, creating a consistent and peaceful environment. Nothing rushes, nothing demands attention. Everything simply continues quietly and steadily, as it has for a very long time. The ocean floor continues to hold its quiet form, with each small detail remaining in place for long stretches of time, creating a surface that feels steady and unchanged. Fine particles continue to drift downward from above, settling softly without sound, adding to the gentle layers that build over time. Each particle follows a slow path, moving without interruption, guided by the calm conditions of the deep water. The surface of the ocean floor absorbs these particles without resistance, allowing them to become part of the larger structure. In many places, the sediment forms a soft covering that smooths over any small irregularities, creating an even and consistent landscape. This smoothing happens gradually without any sudden shifts, maintaining the quiet nature of the environment. Some areas contain slightly firmer ground, where the sediment has compacted over time, creating a more stable surface. Even in these areas, the overall feeling remains calm and undisturbed. The water above continues its slow movement, carrying with it tiny traces of material that will eventually settle. This movement is constant, yet gentle, never creating strong currents or rapid changes. The temperature remains low and steady, with very little variation across large distances. This consistency allows the ocean floor to maintain its stable conditions. The absence of sunlight keeps the environment in a state of continuous darkness, which does not change over time. This darkness feels uniform, without contrast or sudden brightness. Life within this environment adapts to these conditions, existing in quiet and efficient ways. Some organisms move slowly across the surface, leaving faint impressions that gradually fade as new layers settle over them. Others remain still, blending into the surroundings and conserving energy. These patterns repeat across the ocean floor, creating a consistent rhythm of movement and rest. In certain regions, small clusters of life gather around sources of nutrients, forming quiet communities that remain stable. These communities do not expand rapidly, but instead maintain a steady presence over time. The balance within these areas remains unchanged, with each element supporting the others. The ocean floor also reflects the slow processes occurring beneath it, where heat and pressure shape the structure of the Earth. These processes move at a pace that is almost impossible to observe directly, yet they continue without interruption. The surface above responds gradually, adjusting over long periods. There are no sudden changes, only slow and steady transitions. In some places, the ocean floor contains long stretches of flat terrain, where the sediment has settled evenly. These plains extend across wide areas, creating a sense of openness and calm. The uniform surface allows for a quiet continuity, with no features to interrupt the view. In other areas, gentle rises and dips create subtle variations in the landscape. This steady state allows everything within it to move at a gentle pace. Nothing rushes, nothing forces change. Everything follows the same slow and even rhythm. The fine layers of sediment continue to build, each one settling quietly over the last, forming a soft and even surface that stretches across wide areas without interruption. Over time, these layers can become thick, though the process remains so slow that no single moment reveals the change. The ocean floor holds these layers gently, allowing them to rest without disturbance for long periods. In some places, faint trails can be seen where small creatures have moved across the sediment, leaving behind subtle marks that remain visible until they are gradually covered again. These trails are quiet signs of movement, created without sound or urgency. The creatures that leave them often move slowly, pausing often, blending into the calm surroundings. There are also small depressions where organisms have rested, creating shallow impressions in the soft ground. These impressions remain until the steady fall of particles smooths them over once more. The process is continuous with no clear beginning or end. In deeper regions, the ocean floor becomes even more uniform, with fewer features and a greater sense of stillness. The environment here is shaped more by time than by sudden forces. The absence of light creates a steady darkness that does not change, allowing the mind to imagine a space without variation. This constant condition supports a quiet balance that remains undisturbed. The water above moves slowly, forming deep currents that travel long distances over many years. These currents are guided by temperature and density differences, yet they maintain a calm and predictable path. They do not rush or shift quickly, but instead follow gentle routes across the ocean basins. As they move, they carry small particles and nutrients, distributing them evenly over time. This slow distribution supports life in a quiet and consistent way. Some regions of the ocean floor are covered with very fine clay-like material that settles in thin layers. These layers can preserve delicate structures, holding them in place for long durations. The preservation is gentle, without compression or force. In certain areas, the ocean floor includes fields of small rocks and fragments, scattered evenly across the surface. These fragments remain still, shaped by long periods of exposure to pressure and slow chemical change. Their surfaces may appear smooth or slightly worn, reflecting the passage of time rather than sudden movement. There are also areas where the ocean floor gently slopes downward, forming gradual inclines that extend over great distances. These slopes are subtle, with no sharp edges, allowing a continuous and smooth landscape. The transition from one depth to another happens slowly, without abrupt changes. In the deepest trenches, the ocean floor reaches its lowest points, where the pressure is greatest and the environment remains extremely stable. These areas are among the quietest on the planet, with very little variation in any condition. Life here continues at a slow pace, adapted to the constant surroundings. Some organisms have soft bodies that move gently with the water, while others remain anchored to the ground. All of them exist within the same calm rhythm, without disturbance. The ocean floor also contains regions where minerals slowly crystallize, forming structures that grow over long periods. These formations develop quietly, layer by layer, without sudden shifts. Their growth is steady, reflecting the consistent nature of the environment. In some places, faint ridges can be seen where sediment has been shaped by slow-moving currents. These ridges remain in place until they are gradually softened and leveled by new layers of settling material. The process is continuous with no sudden changes. The ocean floor does not experience the rapid erosion seen on land. Instead, it changes slowly, with each small adjustment taking place over extended periods. This gradual change creates a sense of permanence, even though the surface is always evolving. The balance between deposition and movement remains steady, maintaining the overall shape of the landscape. Some areas of the ocean floor contain small openings where water seeps slowly from beneath the surface. This movement is gentle, creating a subtle exchange between layers. The flow remains constant, without fluctuation. In these areas, the surrounding sediment may appear slightly different, shaped by the steady passage of water. These differences are subtle and do not disrupt the overall calm. The ocean floor also includes regions where biological activity is concentrated, though still quiet and controlled. Organisms interact with their environment in slow and careful ways, maintaining the balance of the system. There are also regions where the ocean floor is marked by cracks and fissures, formed over long periods by slow geological processes. These features do not change quickly, remaining in place for extended times. Water can move gently through these openings, carrying minerals and heat in a controlled and steady flow. Hydrothermal vents release warm water that rises slowly and mixes with the surrounding cold water. This creates a soft gradient of temperature rather than a sudden change. Around these vents, small ecosystems form, supported by chemical energy instead of sunlight. These ecosystems remain stable as long as the flow continues, which can last for many years. The ocean floor also contains areas where gases escape slowly from beneath the surface. These gases rise in small bubbles, moving upward in a quiet and continuous stream. The movement of these bubbles is gentle, and they do not disturb the surrounding environment significantly. In some places, the ocean floor is covered with the remains of microscopic organisms that have settled over time. These remains form a soft layer that contributes to the overall structure of the sediment. The accumulation of these materials is slow and steady, without interruption. Over long periods, the layers become compacted, forming denser sections beneath the surface. This compaction happens gradually with no sudden changes. The deeper layers remain undisturbed, preserving their structure for long durations. The ocean floor is also shaped by very slow currents that move along the bottom. These currents can transport fine particles across large distances, but they do so at a steady and controlled pace. There is no turbulence, only a smooth and continuous flow. The absence of strong disturbances allows the environment to remain consistent. This consistency supports a calm and predictable setting where changes are minimal. The creatures that inhabit these regions often rely on the slow fall of organic material from above. This material provides a steady, though limited, source of nourishment. Because the supply is constant but small, life here adapts by moving slowly and conserving energy. Some organisms feed continuously, taking in small amounts over time rather than seeking large meals. Others wait patiently, remaining still until food drifts close enough. This pattern of behavior aligns with the quiet nature of the environment. The ocean floor also experiences very slow chemical changes as minerals interact with the surrounding water. These interactions occur over long periods and do not create noticeable effects in the short term. Instead, they contribute to the gradual transformation of the environment. The balance between these processes remains steady, with no sudden shifts. Even in areas where volcanic activity has occurred in the past, the resulting formations settle into a stable state over time. The heat dissipates, and the structures remain as part of the landscape. These formations can persist for millions of years, unchanged in their overall shape. The scale of time in the deep ocean is different from that on land. Events that might seem slow elsewhere are even slower here, creating a sense of stillness. This stillness is not empty, but full of subtle processes that continue quietly. The ocean floor does not require constant change to remain active. Instead, it functions through steady, continuous motion that is almost imperceptible. The environment remains balanced, with each element contributing to the whole. There is no single dominant force, only a combination of gentle influences. These influences work together to maintain a calm and stable system. The deeper regions of the ocean floor are particularly consistent, with very little variation in conditions. Temperature, pressure, and darkness remain constant, creating a uniform environment. This uniformity allows life to adapt in simple and efficient ways. There is no need for rapid movement or sudden responses. Everything unfolds gradually, in alignment with the surroundings. The ocean floor continues to exist in this quiet state, unaffected by the changes that occur above. Storms, waves, and winds at the surface do not reach these depths. The deep ocean remains separate, maintaining its calm regardless of external conditions. This separation adds to the sense of stability and continuity. The ocean floor does not react quickly, but instead absorbs changes slowly over time. This slow response ensures that the environment remains balanced. There is no disruption, only gradual adjustment. As time passes, the processes that shape the ocean floor continue without pause. Sediment settles, currents flow, and life persists in its steady rhythm. There is no beginning or end to these processes, only a continuous cycle. The calm nature of the ocean floor remains unchanged, providing a quiet and stable environment. These formations remain still and unchanged for long periods. There are also areas where the ground appears smooth, like a vast underwater plain. These plains stretch for great distances with very little variation. The scale of the ocean floor is difficult to imagine, as it extends far beyond what can be seen. Distances are large, but movement across them is slow and gradual. There is no sense of urgency in this environment. Everything exists at a calm and steady pace. Even the smallest changes take time to unfold. The ocean floor receives material from above continuously, in a slow and gentle fall. This process never stops, creating a quiet sense of continuity. Each particle settles softly, adding to the layers below. There is no sound when they land, only stillness. The deep ocean remains one of the least explored parts of the planet. Much of it has not been directly observed, yet it continues in quiet stability. This unknown quality does not create tension, only a sense of vastness. The ocean floor exists without needing attention or change. Continues as it always has in a slow and steady way. The environment remains balanced, with each element supporting the others. Nothing rushes, nothing forces movement. Everything settles into place over time. The calm nature of the ocean floor allows for long periods of rest and stillness. It is a place where movement is minimal and gentle. Even currents move slowly, without sharp direction. The entire environment supports a sense of quiet continuity. The deeper you imagine this place, the more consistent it becomes. There are no sudden shifts, no bright changes. Only gradual transitions and steady conditions. The ocean floor holds its form through time, unchanged in its calm nature. It remains one of the most stable environments on Earth. And within that stability, everything continues at a slow and gentle pace. The fine sediment that rests across much of the ocean floor continues to settle in layers that are almost too thin to notice in a single moment. Yet over long periods of time, these layers become deep and continuous, forming a quiet record of slow change. Each grain that falls moves at its own gentle pace, drifting through the water column without urgency, guided only by gravity and soft currents that do not disturb its path. The surface of the ocean floor often appears smooth from a distance, but up close it can show small ripples and patterns created by slow-moving water over long durations. These patterns remain for extended periods, as there is little to disrupt them in the deep. In some regions, the ocean floor is dotted with nodules, small rounded formations that grow gradually as minerals collect around a central point. This growth takes place over thousands or even millions of years, forming objects that change so slowly they seem almost permanent. The water above the ocean floor acts as a stable layer, pressing evenly in all directions, creating a consistent environment that does not fluctuate quickly. Because of this, many deep-sea organisms develop simple and steady rhythms, matching the calm conditions around them. Some creatures rest directly on the ocean floor, barely moving except when necessary, conserving energy in a place where resources are limited. Others drift just above the surface, carried gently by currents that flow at a slow and even rate. These currents are influenced by differences in temperature and density, but they move in long, gradual patterns that take time to shift. The absence of sunlight means that visual changes are minimal, and the environment remains in a state of soft darkness. This darkness is not harsh, but rather steady and unchanging, providing a constant background. Bioluminescent organisms create small points of light that appear briefly and then fade, never overwhelming the stillness. These lights move slowly, sometimes appearing in clusters, sometimes alone, always maintaining a gentle presence. The ocean floor also contains long ridges where tectonic plates meet and slowly move apart. This movement is measured in centimeters per year, too slow to observe directly, yet continuous over time. As the plates separate, new material rises from below, cooling and forming fresh sections of ocean floor. This process continues without interruption, maintaining a steady cycle of renewal. In other areas, plates move toward each other, and one slowly slides beneath another, creating deep trenches. These trenches are among the most stable environments, with little disturbance and very few changes. The pressure within these regions remains constant, and the temperature stays low. The organisms that live here are adapted to these steady conditions, moving slowly and using minimal energy. Some areas of the ocean floor contain soft mud, while others are covered with sand or rock. Each type of surface supports different forms of life, all adapted to the quiet conditions. The ocean floor is a quiet place, and this time is meant to be calm and steady, with simple thoughts that move slowly and gently, allowing your mind to rest while you listen. The deepest parts of the ocean are so deep that even the tallest mountains on land would be completely covered if they were placed there, and still there would be water above them. The pace here will remain slow and even, with no need to focus or follow closely, just a soft flow of ideas that can come and go without effort. The ocean floor covers most of the planet, stretching far beyond what can be seen or easily imagined, forming a vast and continuous surface beneath the water. In many places, the ocean floor is covered with fine layers of sediment that have settled over thousands of years, creating a soft and quiet landscape. These layers build slowly, with tiny particles drifting down through the water in a steady and gentle motion. This slow falling of particles is sometimes called marine snow, and it moves quietly through the darkness, never rushing, never stopping. The temperature at the ocean floor is usually very cold, often just above freezing, and it remains stable for long periods of time. There is no sunlight in the deepest parts, and the darkness remains constant, without change from day to night. Even without light, life continues in simple and steady ways, adapted to the calm and still environment. Some creatures move very slowly, conserving energy, drifting or resting for long stretches of time. The pressure at the ocean floor is extremely high, yet many forms of life exist comfortably within it. Water above presses down with great force, but in this environment, it is normal and unchanging. The ocean floor is not flat everywhere, and there are long ridges that stretch across great distances. These ridges form underwater mountain chains that slowly shift over time, though the movement is too slow to notice. There are also deep trenches, where the ocean floor drops sharply into deeper regions. These trenches are some of the quietest places on Earth, where very little changes over long periods. The sand and sediment on the ocean floor can be disturbed gently by currents, but often they remain still. Small currents move through the deep ocean, carrying nutrients and tiny particles across long distances. These currents are slow and steady, without sudden changes. Some areas of the ocean floor have smooth surfaces, while others are rough and uneven. Rocks can be scattered across the ground, shaped by time and pressure. In certain places, the ocean floor releases warm water from beneath the earth. These areas are called hydrothermal vents, and they create a soft flow of heat in an otherwise cold environment. Around these vents, life gathers in quiet clusters, adapting to the warmth. The contrast between warm and cold remains gentle and stable. Many deep-sea creatures do not rely on sunlight but instead depend on chemical processes for energy. This allows them to live in complete darkness without difficulty. The colors of deep-sea life are often muted or dark, blending into the environment. Some creatures produce their own light, creating a faint glow that moves slowly through the water. This light is soft and not bright, more like a distant reflection than a strong beam. The ocean floor holds many forms of life that remain still for long periods, conserving energy. Movement is often minimal with slow and careful motion. There is no need for speed in such a quiet and stable environment. Sound travels differently underwater, but in the deep ocean, there is very little disturbance. Most of the time, the environment remains calm and nearly silent. Occasionally, distant sounds may travel through the water, but they are soft and far away. The ocean floor changes over very long periods, shaped by slow geological processes. These changes happen gradually without sudden shifts. New material can form from volcanic activity beneath the ocean, adding to the surface over time. This process continues quietly, without drawing attention. Some parts of the ocean floor are older than others, holding layers that have formed over millions of years. These layers contain traces of the past, preserved in stillness. The deeper the ocean, the more stable the environment becomes with fewer changes. Temperature, pressure, and darkness remain consistent. This consistency creates a calm and predictable setting. Life adapts to this steadiness, moving in slow and measured ways. The ocean floor can appear empty at first, but small forms of life are often present. These forms are subtle and quiet, blending into the surroundings. Tiny organisms live within the sediment, unseen but active in their own way. They contribute to the balance of the environment without creating disturbance. In some areas, the ocean floor is shaped by ancient flows of lava that cooled over time.